guys, back at the shop today. It's been a few days since we've last been busy on this car. Unfortunately, had some customer work. Unfortunately, yeah, it's a good thing, I suppose. Had some customer work to do, so parked this thing one side, finished up that stuff, so we're back on this. Off camera, I looked at this valance and I was like, doesn't look that bad, gave it a tug. It actually came out pretty nicely. So I think I'm rather than cutting off the whole shock tower and everything over here, I'm rather going to salvage this. I mean, the shapes come out pretty good. It'll take a little bit of filler on the inside, and I mean, I've got it practically 100%. So we'll just have to skim it over with a little bit of filler and it'll look good as new. The chassis rail, I'm still going to go ahead and replace because it's got it twisted one way and then twisted the other way. If it was just one way, I could probably get it right, but it's not going to look 100%. So I think I'd rather just cut it off, and I've already got the new part, so I'm going to go ahead and put the new chassis rail, and I've also got a brand new front panel, so that'll go on there. But before we can get to that, we're going to have to tackle the subframe down here. This piece has dragged, from the impact, has dragged outwards about 12 millimeters. So it's obviously pushing our front toe out, and it dragged the caster back. So that the wheel's sitting too close to the door in the wheel well. So the gap in the front of the fender is very big and the gap at the back is quite small. So once we pull that in, that arm will come forward and we'll bring that wheel into center on the well, and we'll be able to get the wheel alignment correct and everything after it. And then once we're done, we'll probably put a brace in there as well. My pickup, my Mk1 pickup has got a brace in there as well. It's something I do on all the Mk1s, all the race cars have got them. It just helps with the stiffness of the suspension, so I'll definitely throw one on here once I'm done. But yeah, so I'm going to start now this morning. I'm going to get the steering rack out of the way, get the control arms pulled out. That way we can put, we're going to use the diamond method of chaining it and pumping that piece in. Unfortunately, again, there's no frame machine, so we'll pump it off the body itself. And we'll put it on the longest part of the lever basically here and chain it to the frame there, then pump it and it'll pull it in. So it's a little bit backyard, but hey, you haven't got a machine, you've got to make it happen. So yeah, so right now I'm going to strip the steering rack out, get the control arms out and get that diamond frame pumped in there, and yeah, hopefully once that's straight then we can get it across to the chassis rail and the nose panel, and who knows, maybe by the end of the day maybe we can have it tack welded and mocked up. See how it goes. Okay guys, as you can see, we've got strapped around the bulkhead here that was pushing outward, and we've got it through the main eye where the steering rack runs, so it's a lot more solid at the back here. And obviously this front section we can now, when we pull the chain like that, it'll obviously pull the sides in, kind of looks like a kite, an old school kite. But yeah, the moment we spread that, the sides will come in. This section is obviously a hell of a lot harder than what this section is, so this section should come in. So, like I said, we're about 12 millimeters or half an inch off. So yeah, I'll do some measurements now as I pump and we'll see how it goes. It's only about 2 millimeters off. So yeah, we'll give it another crack, I'll re-rig it. And yeah, we'll try again. Again, we've got about 10 millimeters out of it. So yeah, I don't know what that is in inches, but it's a very small amount. So we'll try and get those another 2 millimeters and see what it's like after that. That should correct this wheel on the right side that was sticking out. So that seems to have worked. I've measured it now. It's the exact same measurement as my pickup from bulkhead to bulkhead. So yeah, we should be sitting quite happy now with this control arm and the wheel in the middle of the well. So I'll go ahead and I'll mock it up. I won't bother with the steering rack. I'll just put the control arm back in, make sure that the wheel's in the center of the well and the measurements all add up. And if that's the case, then yeah, we should be good there. It needs a little bit of dressing around the seam here, because obviously when it took the impact, the drive shaft hit there and obviously flattened out that edge. You can see here it's a lot straighter. So I'll dress that once I know that this bottom piece is in the right place. So yeah, and if that's all good, then we can move up to the next point and start with the chassis rail. I pre-drilled the chassis rail here. I'm going to make a cut down this side here that we can obviously then get it off. Obviously going around the corner here is pretty complicated. You've got to separate it from the brake booster brackets here. and that's not really any structural. I've checked inside the new rail. If you have a look over here, so there's a reinforcing plate down till this point here, which is, you line it up halfway through the mounting. So I'm going to trim it there. As you can see, it's just a double skinning basically. Once it gets welded on there, there's no real main structural support there. So once we splice it in there and we've got the double seam inside here, we'll be fine. So yeah, like I say, I'll make a cut over there and then I'll join it on in place of the buckled one. So yeah, here goes. Easy enough. Once it was pre-drilled, just made the cut there, gave it a tug, it fell out. So if you have a look, so yeah, you can see here, it's quite badly buckled in the crumple zone over here. It's no longer straight. It's spreading on the bottom section here. So yeah, definitely not worth using again. If you had a proper frame machine, you could split it and pull it, but the next time it takes a hit, it's just going to crumple. So yeah, I definitely don't want that. And again, we've got the new part. So now I'll just measure up, and you can see here, I saved it. It's still got the double bracing, so we'll just trim this in the same spot on the new one, and then it should glide right into place. We'll prep it out and weld it in. Obviously, we'll just tack it for now, just until we can line up the front. Once we're happy with all the lines and the bonnet fender gaps are all good, then we'll go from there. I've ground it down so that it's good for welding. I've got the pilot holes drilled in here to bolt it up. So clean the surface here, so that we can, once we've got this fitted, we can then test fit the front panel. Obviously this is in the way, it's a bit difficult being near the grinder. So while it's off, we do that. This side, unfortunately, we've got to just work around the chassis rail because we're not removing the chassis rail on that side. So yeah, this thing will bolt in here. We'll screw the salt tappers first to make sure that it's more or less, and once we know that it's in the right area and we've got the nose straight and all the bendings out of the way, then obviously we'll weld the solid. So for the moment, we just use salt tapper screws to hold it in place so that we can carry on with the rest of our lining up. Update guys, you can see we've got the front panel on. It's just screwed on with self-drillers, but it's just to get a base of where we're at in terms of if the nose is to the left, to the right, up or down, whatever the case is. So unfortunately I got interrupted today. Luckily for me, one of my cars sold, so I had to run off and go sort out paperwork and get it handed in at the traffic department. So yeah, so unfortunately that slowed up things on this car today. So I'm going to call it quits now, but we do have the front panel on and the chassis leg in, given it's all just self-drilled in. So yeah, I think tomorrow we'll get back here, we'll get the bonnet lined up, and then from there we'll start working out. We'll get the car squared off on the ground. So obviously, normally on a frame machine, you've got the car squared off on the frame machine so that you know the car's level, and then from there you can measure the rails if they're too high, too low. And then obviously the side to side you measure off the body panels. But again, we haven't got a frame machine, so tomorrow what I'll do is there's factory pickup points on the chassis that they build the floor pan from there up at the factory, and those are all leveled. So what we'll do tomorrow is we'll get the car on axle stands on those pickup points. That way we know that the car's as level as can be in the shop. And then from there we'll measure it to an inch of its life. So,